What is up, guys? How you doing? Today we have the final video before my 48-hour live stream. So on Friday and Saturday of this week, so if you're watching it as this is published, it's like in 2 days time, the 31st of January and the 1st of February, I will be live for 48 hours straight on Twitch to raise money for Special Effect. 100% of all money raised during the whole event will go directly to Special Effect, so check out the description to find out more, or you can click here, you can watch that video and it'll tell you all about it. Go watch that. It'll be good fun, trust me. It's 5 minutes of me making terrible jokes and telling you about Special Effect, who do some incredible work, and that's why we're doing this live stream. On the subject of live stream, the reason I'm wearing this headset right now is because I'm actually live on Twitch as I'm filming this. I'm doing this experimental format where I'm spending the entire day on Twitch whilst I'm making a video. So you get the behind the scenes and you get to interact with me, and we'll see how this goes. So far it's been going quite well. It's currently, what time is it? It's currently almost 2 PM and we're still live and nothing's broken yet. So, you know, that's a plus. Today we're taking a look at this, the Nokia 8110 4G. That's right, it's a very old phone, but it has 4G because it's not actually an old phone, it's pretending to be an old phone. You see, with my smartphone listeners wrapping up, I thought it would be the perfect time to talk about my final phone of my experience, because we've had 3 different phones in this time. Let me grab them. We started off with this, the Nokia 105. We then upgraded to this, the Nokia 3310 3G, which was really nice, but it was just no. And so now we have this, the Nokia 8110 4G. This phone is probably the #1 feature phone right now, because it's technically not a feature phone. You see, in theory, because it has iOS, and that's what it runs, and it has 4G, you can use it for things like Google Maps and YouTube, even though the YouTube app is just a shortcut to the YouTube website. But in theory, you can kind of run some apps on here. In fact, it has things like Facebook and WhatsApp, which obviously I went smartphone-less to avoid those, so I just never turned on data, which was basically the way to do it, in my opinion at least. But it did have something that was essential to me in Google Maps, in that I only ever used it once, but that one time I was very, very lost and extremely grateful for it. But before we get into any more of the experience, let's talk specs. It has a Snapdragon 205 SoC, which for context has 2 cores, and they only go as high as 1.1 GHz. It's built on a 28nm process, which means by today's standards it is hilariously inefficient. It has half a gigabyte of RAM, which shows that although iOS is lightweight, it's not necessarily that lightweight. You could probably run stock Android on it, and it also has 4 GB of storage. The display is only 240 by 320, which is, it's fine for what it is. You're just sending texts. You don't want to watch YouTube videos in HDR. Imagine having Netflix on this thing. That'd be, oh god, we need to get Netflix on this thing. It also has a 2-megapixel camera, but calling it a camera feels a bit much. The camera films video that looks and sounds like this, so just don't use it, really. Because of those low-end specs and that power-sipping chip, you end up with a phone that has 25 days of standby time, meaning you can charge it once a month. I basically do. In fact, I would usually charge the phone once every other week, and I'd get 3 days of a phone complaining about me about needing to charge before it would actually die, meaning that you can basically go wild with it. That being said, it is possible to burn through the battery if you really want to. For example, it supports Bluetooth audio. Sorry, I can't carry on this review. Just really quickly, if you just next time I do one of these, hop into chat. We're having Here's an example right now of what's happening in chat at this exact moment in time. For example, it supports Bluetooth audio, which means I can use my Jaybird X3s, and it's great for just not having to use wired headphones. Also, I broke another pair of extreme explosives. I need to replace those. If you really want to burn through battery though, the perfect way to do it is by using a mobile hotspot, because you can use the 4G for that, which is perfect. Again, I kept data turned off most of the time, so I didn't really end up using it, but there were a couple of times where I had my laptop on me and I really needed to reply to something or access an email, and it got me out of a pinch. But most importantly, and the reason I got this phone, it's a phone. It does phone things. You can call people, and you can answer calls, and you can send text messages, even if they take a bajillion years. That's not to say it's all perfect. I mean, it's a device from 2018, so I kind of give a micro USB port a pass. However, it doesn't support major apps, which, even though isn't the reason I'm using it, will be great for most people. That being said, it comes with Twitter pre-installed, and you can also get Facebook and WhatsApp, so it's not like it's a completely barren wasteland. And also, apps aren't really apps. Most of them are just links to websites. So if you can get to it through the web, then you can just use it through the browser. On the subject of apps, one real app is the radio app. And why am I saying app? Because it's an app. And though the radio app works, strictly speaking, if you're in London, for example, due to all the tall buildings and the fact that there are fewer and fewer radio stations, means that it's actually quite hard to get a reliable connection. And maybe that's also just a factor of my headphones, but it was just what I found. That being said, this phone isn't without its bloatware. I'm kind of cautious of calling it bloatware, but that's basically what it is. It's more adware. It comes with these free pre-installed games that you can't delete, and they're all terrible. And also comes with Twitter and like Google Maps. And these are apps you can't get rid of. And when a phone comes with 4 GB of storage, it just feels extra scummy. Like, if you have a terabyte of storage and you've got 1 or 2 GB of space being wasted by terrible apps, then you can kind of be like, whatever. But when you only have 4 GB of storage, it's a real pain in the butt. And also, the games don't actually take up 2 GB, I just pulled a random number. I think they take up like 100 megabytes, but my point still stands. And though the device generally runs great, you do run into significant limitations with a Snapdragon 205, because things like the BBC website can take forever to load, and this weird glitch occurs where if you're running Bluetooth to listen to audio, so if you're listening to music for example, and then you run the browser or just do anything that's intensive, the Bluetooth starts like cutting off and starts acting up, which is just weird. And on top of that, it's just overall just hilariously slow. Like, nothing is quick on this device, which again kind of makes sense because it's a feature phone, but that doesn't mean we can't have a decent experience, right? To be fair though, KaiOS has been getting relatively reasonable updates. It got a few updates almost immediately after launch in the first few months, and now it's getting an update every 6 months. In fact, the most recent update came out just in November. And although it looks like it did very little, one major thing it did do is it set predictive text as the default input type, which means you don't have to set it every time you try to type a message, which is really nice. And on the subject of really nice, on top of that, the call quality is decent. It's okay. It's a phone. It's not HD calling, but it's good enough. At the end of the day, this device ended up being precisely what I needed. A device that isn't a smartphone, but can let me take and make calls and texts. Is it going to be your next phone? I doubt it highly. In fact, I suggest you don't make it your next phone, but it's like £40 now, and I'm sure you can get them even cheaper. So maybe you just buy one for the pants. And it also comes in bright yellow, so why wouldn't you? But generally, it's a pretty decent feature phone that can run some actually relatively good games and apps, and is something that if you're looking to get away from a smartphone, or to give it up for charity, it will kind of work, if a little bit slowly. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. If you didn't, I'm not quite sure why you're still here. If it's the week I posted this, make sure to check out the live stream on Friday and Saturday. It's going to be 48 hours of absolute madness. It's the top link in the description to find out more. Also, just check me out on Twitch in general. I've been trying this weird stuff and seeing how it goes. This has been, so far, really fun. We'll see how the editing goes. I'm sure I'll add an editor's note in here to say how it ended up going. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.